So I think the biggest change actually is much wider than just reward and benefits. It sits within the employee value proposition, and the way that we interact, we as HR professionals, we as corporate entities, interact with employees. It moves from a broadcast where we're actually saying things to them, shouting at them, to an always-on conversation. And it turns that experience for an employee from something which is actually really quite clunky to something which becomes aligned to a retail experience, so that they can actually find the information that they need when they need it, so that they can actually evaluate, and so they can actually go through the transaction exactly the same way as if they were buying any kind of product online. So benefits become a product and it becomes a marketing and a retail experience. I think that's the biggest change that technology brings about, and I think it's really important that we stop thinking about benefits technology in the way that we do and start thinking of it in the way that we would if we were retailing to someone. So actually just finding 3 tips is really difficult, because it's really a very wide palette that you can take it from. But I think the first thing is use design thinking techniques. These are the techniques where you actually think what the person wants, what the customer wants. And you do that by actually talking to them. And it's not just sending out a survey, it is actually interacting with them, finding out, asking them the kind of questions about who they are, building personas so that you understand who your customers are, who your employees are, what their needs are, what their pain points are. If you do that first, and in fact it becomes a process through which you go, and it's very clearly defined, and you can Google it, or you can actually do some free online courses to learn how to do that. That then takes you into a completely different place, because the second tip is forget the current processes, okay? Because it's really straightforward. If you put technology on top of a bad process, you will end up with a process that goes bad quicker. You won't end up with a process that is better. And all you'll do is just, the KPIs will go like that, but much quicker. So that's my second tip. Forget about the processes, work from the user experience angle, what they expect. And the third one is, don't expect this to be a magic bullet. Okay? I have a colleague who talks a lot about sprinkling fairy dust in a very sarcastic way. Fairy dust does not exist. This is very, you have to put the resources in. You have to make sure that you've got the people there who can train the bots, who can understand the processes, who can actually understand what the employees, what the customers want. And training a bot, for instance, takes time. It's not something that happens in an afternoon, because it's learning to understand conversation, particularly if you're trying to do it in multiple languages. That's when it gets really interesting. So don't think this is something that you just press a button and it happens. It requires work.